low-quality fans of a high-quality Bruins team. We get to say that for at least one more sleep. Nice. I'm optimistic. Compared to what people are expecting of us, I'm optimistic. Which we're going to talk about in this video. We're going to do my final preseason thoughts. I apologize for missing the last preseason game. Looks like it was a good one, but I had some things going on. Let's talk a little bit about some of the news that we've just found out about. First of all, that Chara's number is getting retired. Nice. I don't know if it's because of how bad last year went or how frustrating the front office is right now, or I don't really know. I can't seem to get up for this right now. I'm sure once we get closer to it and it's happening, I'll get a lot. I'm just kind of, my reaction was just like, neat. Yeah, we knew that was going to happen, of course. We expected that. It is good news. He's obviously in the building already as a something or other. We've already talked about this on the Short Shift pod, but he is an abstract personnel manager for the Bruins. Good for him. I like having him around. I'm excited about the retirement of the number, but it's not really hitting in a way that I would have expected. I'm sure it will hit harder once we get closer. I also think that I'm a huge Bergeron guy, and I'm really waiting for that and excited about that already. So maybe it's just stealing some of the thunder from Chara. I don't know, but let me know your thoughts. I'm excited about it. I'm just not feeling a lot of the excitement. I don't know what it is. Let's go. That was some basic news that's not really surprising anyone. Let's really go through a couple of quick cuts from the camp. So we have our final roster, and I'll talk about the lines in a second. But a couple of guys who didn't make it that there is something to say about, right? First of all, Merkulov. Perfect example of a didn't make it. You can't get too upset about it because he simply did not show enough through camp, or at least in my opinion, did not show enough through camp for us to make the argument that he absolutely had to make it over Jeannot, Fraser Minten, or Eyssimont, because he's not a fourth line player. He wouldn't be used like that. There's certainly no one in the top six that I would put him in over. So simply didn't do enough. I don't know. This is a bummer. I like Merkulov a lot, but you got to have some sort of effect when you get the chance. Blumel, really surprised by that. He did clear waivers, but they seemed to really like him. I thought he was impactful during the preseason quite a bit. I thought a lot of his game was. I did think it tailed off towards the later games, but I really liked it for the most part. I think the team is aiming for a certain floor defensively. And that's what they're putting all their eggs in. That basket of defense, and we're going to expand on that more shortly. But I think one of the things that was a determining factor was, is there a guy in the bottom six, or a couple of guys in the bottom six, who actually raise our floor defensively, prevent more mistakes against, rather than focusing on a guy who might be able to finish a couple offensive chances. You can argue about if that's smart or not. That's a whole different conversation, but I think that's where they were going with it, is they're trying to raise their defensive floor. Patra, it's the same conversation. I thought Patra did enough to make the team, frankly, but I'm not so sure. This is kind of contradictory. I'm not so sure he did enough to make the team over the current top 9. And if it was between him and Fraser Minten, it's pretty obvious to me that the Bruins were like, I'd rather go with the guy who has the higher floor defensively. That's what I would rather do. And Minten has, I don't think you can really argue this, a better defensive game about him. So looking for a guy who's in a little more control through that center of the ice. Obviously, Patra did get some chances on the wing, but Eyssimont was brilliant. He's not going to beat him out. And then Jeannot, I actually thought, outside of me complaining for a period and a half because I just wasn't noticing him, I didn't think he looked good. In his bright moments, Jeannot looked really good. So Patra, it's a bummer, but he doesn't need waivers. He's going to have an opportunity. They know he's going to have an opportunity as the season continues. I don't think they're too worried about it. I'm sure the conversation with him echoed the same sentiment of like, be ready. You're going to get called up. We're going to need a spark offensively. We're just right now trying to figure out where our defensive floor is and maintain from there. That's the kind of season we're in for, which again, we'll talk more about. Lysell is the other one who demands a comment, I guess. I said it in one of the previous videos. He either... It's one of two things. He either doesn't have it, which I don't agree with, or he simply showed them he didn't care enough. And that I do believe. Through the preseason, think about it this way. The past couple of years, we've talked about Lysell a lot. And again, he doesn't require waivers, so we still have him. We don't have to worry about him. We can just drop him down and bring him back up. But through the years, we've talked about Lysell and his skating talent and his shooting talent and his offensive vision and his creativity and all of this stuff. And it's all still there. It all exists. And we go into this camp, and there's this excitement about what he's going to bring. And then he looks just like he did last year, which was still good enough to get an extended look, but he's not blowing anyone away. He's not making you go, oh my gosh, we have to have this guy on the team. What happened? There isn't another level here? I don't know if maybe he's so frustrated by the past couple of years, or he's sick of the comments on social media and through the coaching staff, or what. But this guy had an opportunity, and he either just could not see it or couldn't bring himself to truly grab it. He is no one to blame except for himself for this. This is not the front office. This is not the coaching staff. This is no one but Lysell here is the problem. Look, you can talk about the development of players and criticize Sweeney and Jacobs and Neely and all of them as much as you want. I'm not going to disagree with that. I'm not going to say they did everything right for Fabian. But what I can say is he did walk into this camp not only with an opportunity, but with them truly needing him to grab the second right wing role. They needed that. And he still didn't do enough to take it. And watch the preseason games. Is someone going to argue with me that he did enough? Maybe some of you saw some things. I just didn't see it. And I want to see it. This is me with rose-colored glasses on going, yes, please, be great, be great. I need you to be great. And he wasn't great. That's so frustrating. When I'm biased and he's still not doing enough? Come on. I'm so bummed. I'm so bummed about that situation. But there are no outside forces that I get to blame. I don't get to be shitty about Sweeney. I don't get to be shitty about the Bruins in general and the way they develop. Lysell had that opportunity flat out this year with a new coach and still didn't manage to make the cut. I don't know. I don't know where it goes from here. Does he get traded and a my problem for your problem? Does something click midway through this season? He's only 22. I don't know. But it does feel like we are truly coming to a fork in the road with this player. And it's a bummer. It is truly a bummer because I expected a really impressive camp. And we didn't get it. I'm bummed. Let's talk about these lines for a second. So the top six you already know, but we'll read them off. Geeky, Elias, Pasternak, Zacha, Middlestat, Arvidsson. Duh, and mostly duh. We knew. When Lysell didn't look good, we knew that was the top six. Third line, Jeannot, Minton, Asamont. Mostly duh. Again, we thought Blumel had a chance here. Jeannot and Asamont were clearly really going to get those positions. Jeannot more so for his contract, but again, he had some portions of the preseason that he was very good in. And then Fraser Minton, the reason he's in over Patra is that defensive floor, which we just talked about. What's really interesting here is the fourth line. Who's Nadinov, Corrali, Kostelic. Corrali, we knew was going to make it, regardless of how he looked. I don't think he looked good in the preseason. I am frustrated that he made the team because he did not earn it in my book. I'm not in the room. There might be a whole different level to this. I know he's a vibes guy, everything, but there are, in my book, better options for a fourth line guy. Kostelic is obviously there. Who's Nadinov? I have to, really apologize and give you guys your credit. A lot of you pointed out that I was missing something with who's Nadinov. I wasn't seeing it. That he was good in the preseason, and for some reason it just wasn't clicking in my brain. I wasn't seeing it. And a lot of you pointed that out, and I want to give credit there. And I am giving credit there. You guys were correct. I was very wrong about that. I am confused, though. And I think some of you might agree with me, even though that you were telling me that I was missing stuff. Is he a fourth-line player? Like, what are we doing with this? Because he's a smaller guy. He's quick, but he's an offensive player. He's not a shutdown defenseman. He's fine defensively. He's not like a liability. He's not a heavy forechecker. He's a good forechecker. Gets in there quick, but like doesn't win a ton of board battles. I think one of my biggest blind spots here was Kuznetsov. I thought had to beat out the third line hopefuls, and I didn't think he did that. It turns out he didn't, and he still got on because he's going to be a fourth liner. I don't like him on the fourth line. In fact, I thought we were going to be able to build a fourth line that was really interesting, and now I'm worried about Kuznetsov's size and his ability to play the way we want the fourth line to play, and Kuraly's overall game. I actually think that fourth line might be a little bad, which is weird when you had this many people competing for it. Beecher and VL will be your 13th and 14th forward so far that they're still listed. Fine. Like, Beecher, again, is a specific player. Face-offs, penalty killing, defensive zone stuff. Fine. VL had a really good camp. Okay. I'm confused by the Kuznetsov stuff. And again, I want to give credit because you guys said I was missing something. Clearly, you were right. You were very right. I just couldn't imagine him on the fourth line. That's what's really weird to me here. Lorai McAvoy, Lindholm Peak, Zadorov Jokiharju, Harris as your seventh defenseman. Fairly predictable there as well. We know that he wanted to try Lorai Mack regardless of how Lorai looked in the preseason. Again, I'm hoping that Lorai was just kind of half speed. Same to go with a few of these defensemen. Again, I'm worried about our right side. Peak and Jokiharju are not great defensemen. I know many of you are like, you're too harsh on Jokiharju. I totally get that. But I'm pretty sure you're not going to sit here and be like, he's an excellent defenseman. I think the right side's a little weak. It'll be interesting to see how that works out. I'm not overly concerned, though, because this was always the plan, was those six guys. Whatever order they went in wasn't exact, but we kind of figured it would be Lorai Mack, Hampus, Peak, and then Zadorov Jokiharju. We're going to miss Carlo. I'm calling it right now. Obviously, Carlo's a great defenseman. Goaltenders, Swayman, Korpisalo, those are the two that earned it. Quite obviously, I think. DiPietro had to outplay Korpisalo, and you can't make the argument that he did. You can make the argument that he was close to Korpisalo's level, but I don't even think that argument has a lot of water it can hold. So really the only things that about this lineup that concern me, well, obviously the offense in general, but Kuznetsov on the fourth line doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Kuraly's overall game, I'm concerned, just won't be there at an NHL level, but I'm obviously willing to see how that works out. And then Lorai's defensive miscues, I'm just really hoping that's largely cleaned up. But it's going to take some time. Again, it's not going to take 3 months of an offseason to suddenly fix all of his defensive woes. So let's talk about the expectations here. First thing about the expectations, I think people are ruining their opportunity to just go, oh, we're underdogs. Take the expectations away. Take the pressure of performance away. Just know that this team is going to fight and claw and scrape for a playoff berth. Like, this is going to be a difficult path, full of frustrating games throughout the season. Accept that and realize that a weight is kind of lifted. You don't have to think that the team's going to be great, and when they aren't, you get all pissed off. This is a year where you just go into a lot of games as an underdog, and you just kind of cheer. And if you win, great. And if you lose, well, might be the season we're in for. I don't know. Some people kind of they've referred to others as like fake fans or whatever because they're not like my team's winning the cup every year. This roster has a lot about it that's very concerning. Like, I think that's fair to say. We can be excited and you can hope for the best, but this is a year where the pressure is very off for the franchise in general. You hate to waste a year of Pasternak's prime, obviously. Like, there's where the pressure comes from. But I don't know. This is one of those every single analytics post that I've seen has the Bruins 25th or worst. Or worse. I don't know why I said worst. Worse. That's pretty bad, obviously. I think that's overly negative, but I can see what argument they're making, right? And really, we get into the presser, which the presser had a couple of nuggets. I don't think it's worth watching. And for the most part, Jacobs is talking about how loyal the fan base is, and Sweeney and Neely are saying that we're going to be a hard team to play against. We're going to be a hard out. But they are recognizing a couple things. They do recognize that the scoring is going to be tough. It's going to be hard to come by goals. And they're hoping to improve the scoring through the year, meaning they'll be looking at the trade market midway through the year if this team is holding up. The one statement because we're going to talk a lot about it on the Short Shift pod tonight, Andrew and I are, the one statement from Sweeney that I really liked is he said, we are going to be more competitive every night. That is a true statement. This is a team that should start the season kind of slow, and if they are capable of what we hope they are capable of, they will ramp up and become more competitive as the season goes on. Again, is that a playoff team? Maybe, maybe not. But it is a team that by design should be frustrating to play against. That's going to require a couple things. That's going to require Swayman and Korpisalo, but Swayman, who's going to get the majority of the starts, to be excellent. He's going to have to be brilliant. It's going to require our defense to communicate and play a team cohesive game. Something that I think last year we lacked for a huge portion of it. Zadorov's going to have to be good and not stray from his positioning. Lohrei is going to have to make smarter decisions defensively. McAvoy and Hampus need to stay healthy, and they need to do what they do best, which is create. Breakouts, transitions, creation. And then Jokiharju and Peak just need to be replacement level, decent defenders. Keep things to the outside. Be frustrating to play against. Don't let things get behind you. It's just going to be a defense-first team. Is that exciting to watch? Not exactly, but it is what will be required for this to be a winning team. If this team tries to take shortcuts defensively to create offense, your miserable for McKenna is on. We are looking at the top of the draft. But if this team is fully bought into a specialized defensive unit that occasionally goes down the ice and tries to pot one in, okay, then this team's going to be competitive and really frustrating to play against. Low shot totals are going to be a thing again. When you talk about what your expectations for this team are, the reason I think it's fairly accurate to be very concerned about where the offense comes from is because the top line, Elias and Geekie, are not true top line talents for a contending level team, for a cup-worthy team. That's what we know. Pasternak has to elevate that entire line. Pasternak is capable of that. That line will score the large majority of our goals. The large majority. But they're capable of it. I don't care how good one line is. If it's constructed by 2 second liners and a first liner, no matter how good that first liner is, superstar franchise level guy, that's not going to make up for the other 3 lines being pretty bad at scoring. Zaka, Middlestat, Arvidsson, I have no idea what to expect from them scoring-wise, but I don't think they'll be a high-scoring second line. We're hoping for them to be decent. Jeannot, Minton, Asamont, Kuznetsov, Kuraly, Kostelic. The bottom 6, by design, is focused on defense. Almost entirely. Almost entirely. Outside of a couple spurts here or there through the season, their goal there is to make sure that the bottom 6 breaks even. They would love to be in the plus. They would love goals on goals from there. That's not the expectation, nor should it be. It's a bottom 6 that they want to be shut down lines, constantly, always prioritizing defense, and hoping that the top 6 can win a couple of their battles and win the game. 3-2 finishes, 4-3 finishes, 2-1 finishes. Winning games by 1 goal is still a win. That's the focus. That's the design of the team. That's not a negative outlook on it. That is by design what they are hoping for. It does remove a lot of margin for error. Any slip up defensively that goes in the back of the net is a hill to climb, a true hill to climb. But that's the focus. Bottom 6, break even. Top 6, win your battles. Really top line, win your battles. It's concerning. I get it. Pressure's off. This team has the potential to be really frustrating to play against. And in a 7-game series, if Swayman's locked in, I can see us upsetting a team or two. Absolutely. Players are going to need to grow throughout the season. That's where your optimism comes in. If Fraser Minten finds another level this season, if Patra gets called up and finds another level, if Lorai finds another level, if Yoki Haru finds a level different than what we've seen, like if these guys push their limits to an extra stratosphere, then all of a sudden this team gets really interesting really fast. It's just a lot of things have to go right. Maybe that's the way to really look at it. It's a hockey team where a lot of things have to go right for them to be truly competitive in a cup-winning kind of way. I don't know. I feel oddly at peace. It's going to come. We're going to see what we get. And from there, we'll decide how invested in wins we are, or if we're pivoting to being more invested in individual growth for players. I'm interested, though. It's an interesting team. It did focus on a safe floor, though, which is not really my style. Like, comment, subscribe. Nailed it. Go Bees. Go Bees!